Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special webinar. My name is Sara Jacobsen, and I'm here with Daphna. And today, we're going to be talking about infertility, specifically the role of body talk in helping women heal from infertility, PCOS, and endometriosis. And also, I'm going to be giving some spiritual and energetic exercises to heal from infertility, PCOS, and endometriosis. So I just want to welcome into the circle Daphna here. Hello, Daphna.
Hi, thank you for talking to me about this very important subject.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having this conversation.
Yeah.
So I'd love to kind of get a little bit of a bio, Daphna, about who you are, what you do, all of that.
All right. So I'm Daphna. I'm originally from Israel. I started my professional life as a music therapist.
Oh.
I wanted to do a little bit more hands-on healing. So I was really drawn to working with babies. So I know, an infant development parent coach. So I work with
Nice.
parents, give them tools. And then kind of body talk fell into my lap. And the beautiful thing is that it completed the full picture for me because it brought in the whole mental, spiritual, emotional thing into this physical development of babies. And since then, I've loved working with moms, women who want to be moms, and of course, babies and families and so on. So
nice.
yeah.
And I actually wanted to share that I found out about Daphna and her work at a birth and baby fair that both her and I were vendors at. We had our little booths and we were talking to, expectant women and new moms and all of that about our services. And I was able to meet Daphna and connect up with Daphna at that birth and baby fair. And it was just so great. Like, I really loved having her at the birth and baby fair, and I just love body talk. I personally use body talk. And so when I found out that she's doing not only body talk, but specifically with moms and babies, I was like, oh my God, we have to collaborate.
Absolutely. It was so exciting to see that because I really didn't think anybody else, in that realm was there. So that's very cool.
Yeah. Awesome. And then so my name is Sara Jacobsen, and my business is called Conceive with Joy. And I help women get pregnant and heal from infertility, PCOS, endometriosis through emotional and spiritual healing. And I help women get rid of and clear all the mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, and physical health blocks to getting pregnant with ease, joy, and grace. So that's a little bit about who I am.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I would love, Daphne, to kind of hear more about how you deal or how you help women who have infertility, PCOS, and endometriosis in your body talk practice.
Great question. The way I work with any person is that I start out with getting their history, getting their concerns, listening to everything that's going on, any diagnosis. And then when it's time to start the session, I put all of that away because a person is not their diagnosis and all these stories that we've been told about ourselves and all of that. So we put that away, get clear, get objective, connect to the person energetically. And starting the session, I use body talk, and body talk is the system that allows me to talk almost directly to your innate healing. So I ask your body what it wants to do in order to heal and what it wants to do in order to get pregnant. What's in the way? What are the blocks? If there's communication issues physically in the body, if there's communication issues energetically in the body, emotional stuff that's stuck in the body that we need to release. And then we just go through all that. And I like to have a conversation when I'm in session. So I know some practitioners stay quiet and they kind of keep all that information in their minds. But I like to involve the client. I like to tell them what's coming up. And usually they need to fill in a little piece of the story. And it gets pretty interesting. It could be surprising what's in the way. So that's generally the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
most of the work is energetic. I
Mm-hmm.
also do craniosacral fascia therapy. So sometimes there is a physical block that just needs to be listened to and shift.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So there's a couple things that kind of highlighted to me, like flagged, um, that you said that I really would love people to get. So you said people are not their diagnosis. That is so powerful, that message,
yeah,
because we are a whole being. We are a whole physical, emotional, mental, spiritual being. And we are so much more than our diagnosis. And then, my personal opinion, and maybe you would agree or maybe not, is that if a woman's body created infertility or PCOS or endometriosis, what makes us think that her body and her soul can't uncreate that? Right?
exactly, Sarah.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
yes.
yes. And it's something that the Western model, and even I have to say, even the naturopathic doctor and Chinese medicine model, like they are not really that hip to this message. I mean, I was just at a conference with a ton of naturopathic doctors, and we were talking about specifically infertility and endometriosis. And also, we did some postpartum and pelvic floor issues. And so it was like talk after talk after talk about, this protocol and take this herb and this supplement and do this and do that, and do that, and it's like we're missing the bigger issue here is what I feel like. Even in the naturopathic medicine world, and I love naturopathic medicine and Chinese medicine, of course, but we're missing the bigger picture in that our bodies are made to heal. And if our bodies got out of balance, our bodies can get back into balance as well.
I absolutely agree with everything you just said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
thought you
about,
might.
yeah. So the way I see my role is that I'm not a healer. I don't heal you.
Mm,
I help interpret why your body's trying to tell you so it can heal
yeah.
itself.
And I love, like I mentioned earlier, I love body talk. I get it myself. I'm not close to Daphna, so I don't get it from Daphna, but so good. And I actually kind of wanted to give like examples from my body talk sessions, just to kind of give people an idea of like what actually would happen in a body talk session.
Yeah.
So my experience receiving body talk is that I lay down on the table, and then the practitioner connects energetically to my different organs. So I want to give you an example for all the viewers right now. So I was receiving a body talk session, and my practitioner was connecting with the energy of my uterus, connecting with my uterus. And she felt like there was some like stuff around money issues for me in my uterus, like specifically around um, like money felt dirty or unnecessary or just kind of that energetic. And so she kind of connected with the organ, and then she like intuited, it was like, oh, okay, this is what the energetic is in the organ that's stored there. This is what I'm sensing. And then we did an energetic process, a tapping process to release that energy from the uterus. And so, and my experience receiving it is that it's a very intuitive process, and the practitioner will kind of go from organ to organ or body part to body part that really calls to them first, and really connect in with that body part, and see what energy needs to be released, or sometimes it's even just something that needs to be said, from that body part. And I've had such incredible experiences where after body talk, I'm like, I'm like so happy. Like I remember this one body talk, I was so happy afterwards. I was like, oh, so great.
Yes.
So yeah, so I wanted to talk about that. Like we're not our diagnoses. And then the other thing that like really struck with me from what you said, was the stories, right? Like what a doctor or a naturopathic doctor or a Chinese medicine doctor, whoever, um, the stuff that they tell their patients, the women that they work with, it gets into their heads. So if a doctor and reproductive endocrinologists will do that, like, oh, I don't think you can naturally get pregnant, or your chances of naturally get pregnant are, less than 5% or less than 1%. Well, first of all, how do they even know the percentage, right? And this is real. Like sometimes a reproductive endocrinologist will do that, say, oh, your chances of getting pregnant naturally are less than 5% or less than 1% or whatever. So how do they know, right? How do they scientifically know that, first of all? And second of all, it gets into the woman's head and it trips them up. And if you have that mental thought that stays in your head and doesn't go away, of course you're not going to succeed, right, in getting pregnant naturally. If you have this statistic, or even if you're like, even if your doctor, like, in the back of their mind doesn't believe that you can be successful, I mean, you can intuit that as the patient or the client, and that's going to be difficult for you to succeed. So I really wish that doctors and Chinese medicine doctors and all that had more of an awareness of the power of their words.
I cannot agree more. And one of the statements that I've heard actually from an acupuncturist that was talking at a Body Talk conference,
Yeah.
he said that a modern day voodoo curse is a medical diagnosis.
Oh.
And that is so true, because if you think about
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
cancer patients or anybody like that, that a doctor says, okay, you have 3 weeks to live.
Right.
No matter what,
Right.
they can die in 3 weeks because they just believe it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it
Absolutely.
goes
Yeah.
really deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I love about Body Talk and also the work that I do is, and you highlighted this, it's really about empowering the woman to take charge of her health, every aspect of
Exactly.
her health, the emotional health, mental health, spiritual health, physical. You know, you and me and myself, we facilitate that healing, but it's really her responsibility to take charge and to really feel that she can heal herself naturally. She has the ability to heal herself naturally.
Yeah. It's just that
Yeah,
understanding, that realization that our bodies are way more powerful than we give them credit for.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm. So I'm curious to hear how you work with people.
Yeah, so it's funny because I kind of do work like Body Talk with my clients, some of my work. And I've never done any Body Talk training. I've received it. But I naturally kind of started to do a little bit of Body Talk. So I call myself, if you took a herbalist, nutritionist, medical practitioner, medical intuitive, shaman, priestess, um, yeah, if you took that and they had a baby, that would be me. So
That's a
yeah.
great visual.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I do a little bit of everything. So one of the things that I do is I have this ability to look into my clients, and you probably can do this too, or maybe not, as a Body Talk practitioner. But I have the ability to kind of look into my clients' reproductive organs, kind of like an X-ray.
Mm-hmm.
Like spirit will show me their organs as an X-ray, and it kind of depends. Like sometimes I help them that way to kind of get a diagnosis of, okay, what's going on. And then sometimes it's more of like the energy. So sometimes like I'll go up the reproductive organs. I'll be like, okay, the energy of the cervix feels really good, or oh, it's like, oh, this right corner of the uterus, there's some emotional stuff. And so usually how I'll start is kind of connect in with the connecting energetically with the reproductive organs. Just because I do specifically fertility, PCOS, endometriosis healing, I really focus on the reproductive organs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'll connect energetically with the reproductive organs, and also, kind of in my X-ray vision. And what I'm looking for when I'm doing this is I'm looking for like physical health stuff. So I'm looking for fibroids, cysts. I'm looking for endometriosis, like that kind of thing. And I have that ability to kind of see that. Like I had one client I was working with where I was connecting and seeing her, reproductive organs as like an X-ray vision. And I saw that there were like little cysts in her ovaries. So I said, hey, I'd really love you to get a trans-vaginal ultrasound just to confirm that. Because I saw little cysts. They weren't big cysts, and they weren't a ton. They were just a couple, of what I saw through my intuitive abilities. But yeah, so that's a really good place to start with my clients. And then what I do is I help them heal all the mental stuff. So we talked a little bit about the mental head trip, right? Like what doctors can say can get in their brain, and also if they don't believe they can do it, like if they've been trying for a year or longer, sometimes they can get into this headspace of, oh, I can't do this. I can't get pregnant naturally. So I help them release all the mental blocks. I help them call in their baby spirit. So the spirit that was meant for them and their partner. I teach them exercises for the woman and her partner to connect emotionally, spiritually, energetically. Because what happens is when you can create this powerful love bubble between the couple, that's really attractive to the baby spirits. The baby spirits are like, ooh, they're feeling the love, they're feeling the juicy juice. So I really love doing that work with the couple. And then I do the work with the goddess. So for me, it's really about the fertility goddess, the goddess Oshun, which is a fertility goddess from Nigeria. I created healing with her. And through my work with the goddess Oshun, I was healed from infertility and PCOS. So I know the power of working with the fertility goddess, whether it's an archetype or like one specific goddess. So yeah, so then I do the work with the divine feminine and the fertility goddess as well. So yeah.
That sounds really lovely.
Yeah. And I also do, I forgot to say, and I also do customized diet and customized herbal medicine. And again, it's about talking to their body and connecting with their body and saying, okay, what herbs do your body want to take? What food items does your body want to eat? Because a lot of these supplements that they have out there for fertility, PCOS, endometriosis, they're very basic supplements, right? And just because, a certain company created a formula for fertility doesn't mean that that is the right formula necessarily for your body. So I actually ask their body, like, what herbs does your body want to take? And I teach them how to make really powerful, potent herbal medicine with prayers and intentions in it to facilitate healing of their body. So yeah, I kind of work on all levels. And then if they want to run labs through me, they can. So I'll read labs with them as well. And I always like to do labs just to verify anything that comes up in our work together, anything that their body says that their body has, or anything that I kind of intuit. So yeah, so that's me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very robust and comprehensive program that you offer.
Yeah. And I am so passionate about this work because I feel like the conversation, and we've talked a little bit about this already, but the conversation we're having about infertility, PCOS, endometriosis is completely wrong. We're having the wrong conversation in America about these issues. Like I said before, well, what pharmaceutical or, what herb, no, it's about going deeper and doing the healing work. And so it's really my mission to change the conversation around infertility, PCOS, and endometriosis, and to bring it back to women being able to heal themselves when they do the work to release the pain, release the trauma, and open up energetically and spiritually. So
that's beautiful, Sarah. I'm very happy you're doing this work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got so excited that my my thing got up.
And what I wanted to say that you mentioned it before, and we talked about this a couple of times, but for me, it's all about reclaiming the power.
Yes.
Because in our society, in the past, 50 or 100 years, we've been giving it away to doctors and the medical community.
Yes.
Like, they need to fix me. If something is wrong with me, I'm going to go and they'll tell me what's wrong and they'll tell me what to do.
Yes. It's about, and especially the time that we're in, right? So we're recording this November 2017, right? And this is a powerful and potent time for women in the Western world. Yes, I know that we have Trump as president, all these other issues, But at the same time, women have never had the possibilities ever in the history that we have now. And women are starting to rise and feel their power. And a part of feeling and owning and knowing your power as a woman is knowing that you are the creator of your life, the creatrix of your life, every aspect of your life, including your health.
Yes. Yes. Let's take this power.
Yes.
We are absolutely so powerful. Just have to
Yes.
acknowledge it, because a lot of people
Yes.
maybe get a taste of it here and there, but they're like, oh, it wasn't me, it was something else. So
Yes.
just acknowledge
Totally.
yourself. Yeah.
Totally, totally. So I'd love to offer a little bit of education here about what the different types of infertility are. And then we haven't even talked about what is PCOS and what is endometriosis. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So infertility is typically it's defined as not being able to get pregnant for a year or longer. So when you're not using any protection with both partners and the woman is not able to get pregnant for a year or longer. And then they have explained infertility and they have unexplained infertility. And explained infertility is what it sounds like. It's when the reproductive endocrinologist uh, typically will run a hormone panel and look at some of the hormones that come from the pituitary gland and all that, and might look at other things like autoimmune or high level of mercury, things like that. And so explained infertility is when the reproductive endocrinologist or the naturopathic doctor, Chinese medicine doctor, whoever you're working with, can say, this is why you're struggling to get pregnant, X, Y, Z. Whether it's a hormonal imbalance or PCOS or endometriosis or autoimmune disease or some other issue. And then unexplained infertility, which accounts for about a third of all of the infertility cases, is called unexplained infertility. And that's when the doctor or the healthcare practitioner doesn't know why you're struggling with infertility. They may run a bunch of labs and everything looks normal and you're healthy and they don't know why. And so, in those cases with the unexplained infertility, then it's really a emotional, spiritual, energetic, mental imbalance. And then I want to talk a little bit about what PCOS is and then what endometriosis is. So PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. And the hallmark of PCOS is too high testosterone. It also typically comes with facial hair, excess facial hair kind of here and here, thinning hair on the head. A lot of women with PCOS might have more of like an apple shape, so they carry their weight in their belly. Some women with PCOS are overweight, some are not. And it just has to do with blood sugar imbalance and too high testosterone. And then sometimes you'll have cysts on the ovaries and sometimes not. And then endometriosis is when the endometrium lining, so the uterine lining, actually, some of it gets into parts of the body where it shouldn't be. So it gets outside of the uterus and it can grow anywhere. I mean, they've even found endometrium tissue in like the lungs and in the brain. I mean, it can grow all over the place. And when it grows, it can, in places that are not inside the uterus, it can lead to infertility, severe PMS pain, and it's really painful. And with endometriosis, they typically think that women have too high estrogen levels with endometriosis. So one way to help women heal from endometriosis is actually putting them on a progesterone cream. Yeah, so that's infertility. So I'm curious, Daphna, if you would like to lead us into a demo. And also if you want to say anything more about the role of body talk in healing from infertility.
Yeah, I wanted to comment. It was a beautiful review of what infertility is.
Thank you.
Yeah, and when it's unexplained, like you were saying, there is an emotional story. There's something else
Yes.
that's in imbalance.
Yes.
I just wanted to add that even if it is PCOS, even if it is endometriosis, even if it is
Mm-hmm.
explained in some way,
Mm-hmm.
it is usually most likely includes an emotional thing,
Absolutely.
something that
Yeah.
happened in the past,
Yeah.
something that you carry around from generations that's not even yours to deal with, but
Yes.
there it is
Yes.
manifesting.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in my case, I had an official diagnosis. I had PCOS. And for me, my body had developed PCOS because of trauma that I was carrying in my reproductive organs over being sexually abused as a child. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really had to heal that and do the work with the Goddess Oshun, do the spiritual healing work, feel that energy to heal. So absolutely, like even when there's an official diagnosis, there's always an underlying emotional, energetic, spiritual health thing going on for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I myself have or had PCOS. I didn't
Oh,
know. I
okay.
haven't tested it in recent years, but I have two children.
Yeah.
I'm
You got
definitely
pregnant
fertile.
naturally. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't have body talk when I first got pregnant.
Yeah.
All I had was acupuncture, which was amazing. But
Hmm.
you know, um, the beautiful thing with body talk is that when I wanted to get pregnant again,
Mm.
um, I didn't. It took over a year.
Oh,
But I
okay.
realized through the sessions that I got that I was not connecting to that desire emotionally.
Mm.
Mentally, I
Yes.
wanted to have my babies close at age. I wanted them,
Mhm.
like less than a
Mhm.
year or over just about a year apart. But it was all
Yeah.
mental because it made sense and it would be so much easier. But
Yeah.
emotionally, I didn't connect. So as soon
Yes.
as I got that realization after a session,
Mhm.
I said, okay, I'll just let it go. And then I think it was a month later that I got
Awesome.
pregnant.
Awesome.
It's just amazing work.
Yeah. That is so powerful what you're talking about because yes, we have to get if this is what we want is to, get pregnant with ease, joy and grace, whether we do IVF or get pregnant naturally, but yes, we have to get in energetic alignment, emotional, spiritual, mental, energetic alignment because so many women are like mentally like yeah like I want to have a baby but then there's like trauma underneath like there's the mother wound or they haven't connected emotionally or there's problems in the relationship or they're worried like oh well maybe I'll have to give up my fun social life right if I have a baby so there's so many kind of mental emotional spiritual energetic blocks that can happen that women aren't always aware of so I think that's so awesome that you got that clarity and you were able then to work on connecting emotionally to having that baby. And then month later,
Months later.
love that. So great.
It's so great. And then another point about anything like infertility and endometriosis and PCOS and anything like that, there's many times there are epigenetic changes that
Mm,
occur in the body that lock the body into that dysfunction or whatever.
mm,
Um, and I've actually learned through body talk, I learned energetic tools to get very specific into the DNA, into the epigenetics, and see those changes and help the body heal them, clear them, or do whatever it needs to do.
wow. Can you talk about like what epigenetics is and kind of explain that a little bit more? Because I feel
Yeah,
like women will, yeah, want to know about that.
absolutely. So, as we all know, we have genetics. We get half from mom, half from dad, and we become us. But there's also a very robust layer above the epigenetics that until just a couple of decades ago was considered just junk because they couldn't figure out what it was for. But
Yeah.
those are the little markers. They're the little adjusters above the DNA that tell each gene to be on or off, or how
Mm,
much, or how adjust. And every just like the hormonal system is on a cycle,
mm.
each organ has it's all like cycles. It's all things that there's processes that have to happen. So those are epigenetically adjustable.
Okay.
And then when there's stress, when there's environmental toxins or physical toxins or anything that's in our environment, also in our psyche, because stress is a big part of it,
Yes.
can shift things epigenetically, can change the markers physically, and then you get weird symptoms. So when you have a tool like Body Talk, and maybe you can do it also with your X-ray vision, because it is very similar. I get the more I do Body Talk, the more I can connect to that person visually, so I can kind of do the same X-ray thing.
Yeah.
So you can see those changes. And then I've learned specific Body Talk tools that are strictly energetic. There's no injection. There's nothing. I don't give anybody anything. It's strictly an energetic and consciousness balances for that area in the DNA to either shut it off, open it up, or whatever, adjust it higher or lower. So
Wow.
the body can
Wow.
heal. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love
It is
that. So
so cool.
great.
Yeah.
Love Body Talk. It's so great. So, okay, so I'm curious, if you had a woman who came to your office and she was like, Daphna, I have unexplained infertility. Like, how would you work with her?
So interestingly enough, Sarah, it's exactly the same as I would work on anybody else. I listen to the story, I listen to the diagnosis, I listen to all the concerns. But when it gets time for her to lay on the table and I start connecting with her energy, I put all that aside and I focus on her body's priorities and how her body wants to heal itself.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because even in sessions, sometimes it seems like we're not even working on the specific issue because something else is a priority. And then they go home and a week later, it's like, oh, but the other thing that I had a concern about is gone. It's all connected. It's all related.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it makes total sense. Like with a client like that, you would think that you would immediately connect with the reproductive organs, right? But the liver might have something going on where the liver is like, hey, I need something. I need to release an emotion, or I need essential oil or whatever, or, the heart or the breast or whatever. So yeah, I love that. I love that you really just both honor what the client wants, but also really honor their body too. Because it's almost like their body and their mind might have different points of view on what is needed,
Exactly, because we're caught up in our story and what we've been told.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be objective on when it comes to your own body.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a process. I mean, now what I'm trying to do when I do receive Body Talk is to be really open and be like, hey, whatever my body needs, because like I trust my Body Talk practitioner and I trust my body. But I think that takes time, and also I don't have any pressing health concerns right now too. So yeah.
And then I don't know, I'm wondering and curious, when your own practice, Sarah, do things from past lives or previous generations?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Story.
Yeah, I would actually love to share a story right now. That was so interesting. So I had a sales call with a potential client, and we didn't end up being a good fit to work together, so we didn't work together. But it was really interesting because actually my sales calls, like I go in really deep with the client. They actually are essentially a session, my sales calls, and then we kind of figure out if they would be a good fit. And so she was going into the story and telling me what was happening and blah blah blah. And so she wasn't struggling with infertility per se. What had happened with her is she had a baby who, there's a specific name for this, but part of the skull wasn't there when the baby was born. And so her baby died like 24 or 48 hours after the baby was born. Yeah. Yeah, so it was really sad. But it was interesting because I was connecting energetically with this woman. I was also like feeling, when we were talking, I was also like feeling her environment, like the people around her. And I was also like connecting with the energy of her and her partner. And I could just feel so much negativity in her environment, so much negativity from her friends, from her family, from her community, and from her partner, her male partner. And I could feel and sense and intuit that her ancestors were like, nah, like this is not a good guy. Like, no, and so this happened, so she was able to get pregnant, but the baby never survived. And that's kind of what I was intuitively feeling. What was happening is because her ancestors were like, nah, like, don't like this guy. This guy, not a good guy. And actually, I had another client that I worked with, a different situation, because she couldn't get pregnant at all. And she was with a guy who was technically still married to another woman, and this guy was going back and forth. So he was going back and forth from his wife to her, wife to her. And again, her ancestors were like, nah, no, not a good guy. And she could not get pregnant with this guy. She could not get pregnant.
Yeah.
And and it was just so powerful. It was such a good reminder of how powerful the ancestors are in our life. In our American culture, we don't talk about the ancestors. We don't really give a crap about the ancestors, right? But if you look at indigenous cultures from around the world, the ancestors always played a role in fertility, always, and in conception. I mean, the spiritual tradition that I'm initiating into from Nigeria, before a woman has a baby, the ancestors are consulted. The ancestors have to give their approval. And if you look at the Sami people they're considered the only indigenous tribe, ethnicity of all of Europe. Their indigenous land is in Sweden, Finland, Norway, and Russia. It kind of borders all of those countries. In their spiritual tradition, their indigenous tradition, the ancestors were always petitioned before a woman would get pregnant. And actually, the fertility goddesses Madaraka, Saraka, Juxaka, and Uxaka were like a shaman would have these goddesses come through. And then Madaraka, which was the grandmother goddess, would actually petition the ancestors and say, ancestors, do you bless this woman to get pregnant? So we cannot underestimate the power of our ancestors when we are getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be so beautiful if we can reconnect to those roots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What comes to mind is that when I was dealing with infertility, is one of the stories that came up is an ancestral story. So my three of my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. And I actually got an epigenetic marker in my uterus from my grandfather because there was a very nasty story about sexuality that he was subjected to that just carried through. And there is no way for me to know that.
Yeah.
Nobody in the family has ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But it's playing out in my body. So I'm
Yes.
so thankful that there are tools now.
Yes.
For me, body talk
Absolutely.
is the tool, but there are so many tools now that you can use to get that stuff out of your body. It's not
Absolutely.
your story anymore.
Absolutely. So. You always have to petition the ancestors, because just as you said, because number one, there could be energetic stuff in your DNA from your ancestors that need to be cleared, number one. And number two, they can be a really powerful source in your life of blessing and bringing forth that baby, that child. I mean, and even think about the stories where, a woman will have a baby and the baby will look like or emotionally or energetically feel like the grandfather who had passed or the great grandfather, right? That happens. We hear that story all the time, right? Oh, my new baby has my grandfather's smile or my grandmother's smile, right? Like there's something to that, there's something powerful to that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I would love a demo if you are feeling so inspired.
Absolutely. Would you like
Yay.
to be worked on?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yay.
since we're not dealing specifically with infertility for you, is there anything you wanted to kind of bring up or work on?
Yeah. Let me think about this. Let me think. There's some things we could work on. Let's work. I'd really love to work on my liver. So my liver sometimes feels kind of congested and kind of heavy. And it's funny because I have Kaiser as my health insurance, and I've gone to Kaiser and we've done labs for my liver, and the labs always come back, oh, you're fine, right? But I'm so in touch with my body that I can feel when there are energetic imbalances.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Have you gotten any work on that in any other way recently?
No, not recently. It's been a while since I've had a body talk session. So yeah.
Okay. So like I said, I'm going to connect. I'm going to get quiet. I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to put it aside and check in with the priorities for your body. So
Yes.
So let's see. It's a belief system in your heart, actually, that's coming up first.
Okay.
And it's the theme is something about flowing with life. It's about letting things in and letting things out. So it's related to lungs, but the heart and the lungs are so nested together that but this is more heart. So it's like the heartbeat is about, it's getting things in and pushing things out, so letting things go. And it's not coming up. Sometimes there's a further specificity about what exactly that is, but this is more general, just flowing within and flowing without. And that is connecting to the liver. And it's about the messaging. So with every heartbeat, our entire body gets a message. So it's almost like we're recalibrating the messaging from the heart to the liver. And then the liver is holding on to an emotion. So it's like a stuckness. So maybe there's an area in your life that you feel stuck. It could be, so the sense I'm getting that it's not really stuck, like you can't move forward, but that you're held back a lot. And I keep getting this image of you in those conferences, like trying to get a message through, but you get so much, pulled back because everybody's in this different mode, and you're trying to get this through, trying to get the message out.
Yeah.
So yeah, liver's feeling a little stuck. A lot of the times when there's liver stuff, there could be some detox pathways that are congested, but I don't see any of that. I just see that emotion that's like, it's so visceral in your body that you want to get that out. It's just like held in your liver. So we're going to release that. Okay. We're going to use the intestines, the gut brain, to carry that load. So you can, it's almost like reframing that sensation of being pulled back or stuck or blocked from sending your message. So the gut brain is our, it's a central processor more so than our brain. So it's just going to help to carry the load for the liver, so it doesn't have a physical manifestation in your body. Okay. So we're going to tap this out. So I'm going to have you hold your heart and put the other hand on the liver. And I'm going to have you an imaginary Sara right in front of me, and I'm going to tap out your three brains. So we're connecting the heart to the liver, to the intestines,
Mm-hmm.
getting that stuckness out. Good. And then whenever we call it a formula like that is over, I recheck if there's anything else that we need to work on. And we are set for now. So that's a little example of what a body talk session would look like.
So great. Oh, just love it. Thank you so much. That was so great.
So welcome. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I just want to take a nap now.
I know. It's funny. I get responses like, when I walk out of your office, I feel like I'm floating. And I had a woman come in and she was so flustered and frustrated and things were just not going her way. And then by the time she left, she was like, I feel good. I feel good. I'm positive. So
great.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. Yeah.
You're so welcome.
Yeah. Awesome. So, I've already talked a little bit about my work, and my sessions are really intuitive, but I think what I'd really would love to do with you, a part of what I do with my work is I do really powerful guided meditations, and that helps to connect with the different parts of the body and also kind of release energy and emotions. So I would really love to take you through a guided meditation to connect you with your reproductive organs and kind of connect with the energetics there.
Sounds wonderful. I would love that.
Awesome. So take a couple deep breaths on your own. And go ahead and start to bring your awareness to the outer lips of your vagina, the labia minora, feel the sensation and emotions there. Does your labia majora feel soft or tight? Soft or hard? Dry or wet? Just feeling the energy and the sensations of your labia minora. Traveling into the vaginal canal, feeling the energy in your vaginal canal. Does it feel soft or warm, cold or hard, tight or open? Just make a mental note. Traveling up to connect with the cervix, your sweet, delicate cervix. Feeling the energy of the cervix. Does it feel hard or soft? wet or dry, open or closed. Maybe you sense a color or an emotion in your cervix. Just make a mental note. Traveling inside the uterus into the uterine lining. Feeling and sensing the energy of the uterine lining. Noticing if there are any colors or shapes, feelings, sensations, or emotions in the uterine lining. Thanking your uterus for all the hard work it does, month after month, cycle after cycle. Traveling through the fallopian tubes, feeling the energy of the fallopian tubes. These beautiful fallopian tubes that they're so thin and so delicate that you can't even really palpate them. Just like a little sliver of hair. And traveling to the ovaries. Feeling the energy of the ovaries that work so hard for you every month, dutifully carrying an egg down to the uterus. And if your ovaries are not releasing eggs right now because you're in menopause or because you have infertility, I just want you to kiss your ovaries hello and tell your ovaries that you love them. Even if they're not working like you want them to in this moment, just give them a kiss and say thank you and I love you. Noticing any colors, sensations, feelings, emotions, memories in the ovaries. When I connect with my ovaries, I see this beautiful burgundy color. Give your ovaries one last kiss goodbye. And come back into awareness. And you can slowly open your eyes.
Wow, that was lovely.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I got so many visual symbols and things like that. It was really cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What a
Yeah.
wonderful way to really feel your own body and experience it in a new way. That's very
Absolutely.
empowering.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a big part of my work is body awareness, being able to feel the body. And one little tidbit around feeling the body is, of course, doing an exercise like this on a regular basis. And by the way, if you're watching this video right now, you can always fast forward to the part where Daphne and I do our exercises and just do those exercises again and again and again if you want to. So if you like those exercises, feel free to do that. But yeah, it's really important to feel that connection. And I love doing that exercise because it helps women really connect in and start to build a relationship with their cervix and their uterus and their fallopian tubes and ovaries. So yeah.
I loved the part about giving love even to the parts that don't work the way you want them to right now.
Yes,
And it
absolutely.
it made me remember that a lot of this, we kind of live outside of our bodies anyway.
Yep.
Mostly we live in our heads.
Yep.
But getting in and really connecting and loving ourselves
Yep.
is just so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So I just would love to find out how people can connect up with you, and then I'll tell people how they can connect up with me and my work.
Beautiful. So it's really easy to find me. I'm everywhere on Facebook. I'm Daphne Golan, mind body medicine practitioner, or daphnagolan.com. I work with people mostly one-on-one. I love working with couples because when one person is having fertility issues, you can bet that the other person wants to heal in another way too. So yeah, I can work in person in San Jose or remotely. I do a lot of my sessions remotely. So.
San Jose, California.
San Jose, California.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm Sara Jacobsen, Natural Fertility Guide. You can find me at conceivewithjoy.com. And I work with clients both in person in the San Francisco Bay Area, specifically in Marin County. And then I also work with clients all over the world via phone and Skype. And I have one-on-one training, one-on-one programs, and then I also have group programs too. So conceivewithjoy.com. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Daphne. This was so awesome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.